Silly goose, silly goose, why are you so silly? Silly goose, silly goose, why are you so silly? Smelly cat vibe, smelly cat vibe, I like to be a silly goose. Silly goose, silly goose, smelly cat vibe, I like to be a silly goose. Silly goose, smelly goose, why are you so smelly? Silly goose, smelly cat vibe. Silly goose, smelly cat vibe, you silly goose. I like to be a silly goose. Silly goose, why are you so silly, you silly goose? Smelly cat vibe, why is this such a smelly cat vibe? To be a silly goose, why such a silly goose? Silly goose, why are you smelly cat vibe, smelly cat vibe. I can't tell if you're kidding me. I like to be a silly goose. Silly, silly, silly.